Going to the next topic, which is on businesses, building businesses for scaling. I would request our President, Mr. Dhiren Deshpande, to take on.
Good morning. I don't have 99 slides, but my mind is cluttered with so many slides. So I'm trying to put them to a few slides. I was at Flame day for yesterday, and these days there are so many words that we thought we knew it nicely, but with so much of information or data coming to us, sometimes we get confused. So I spoke on innovation and entrepreneurship, and I had come from US, half zonky, so I picked up my Oxford dictionary and looked at those two words and what meaning was, and I found that was the best place to find out what that is all about. So I might pick some of that here. Picking from there, when I looked at the title of the talk and it said scale, I did not know what scale meant. So I went to the Oxford Dictionary again, and this time it was more difficult. At least in the talk other day, it defined what innovation was. It's a new idea, new product, new technique and all that. Entrepreneurship is something that you create a business for profit. But here, एक तराजू है, एक प्रॉपर्टी है जो 9th में यूज की थी, and so I said that is not what you're looking for here. So I opened my spreadsheet, which I just closed, and created a graph. So I think what I'm supposed to speak on today is about scaling or building the business. So if that is a common understanding, then I go to the next one. Otherwise, we need to revisit this presentation. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Sorry about that. I'm just sort of, cut out the animations here. If you look at a business, as Vishwas said, it needs an idea. And there was a question on which he answered, create a peer group. If you're a single founder, you need to create a team one way or the other. So it needs a team. It needs capital. It needs money in different form. And I think we are clear about business plan today. Right after previous presentation, what's the different plan and model? These are 3 or 4 things you need. And here in TiE, when we look at mentoring, we drill down these things. So what's your team, who the founders are, and stuff like that. It's very important to understand. Then there is a road ahead of you. Here at least it's visible. Most of the time it's not known to you. And in Mojo Networks, Praveen, my co-founder, and I, we always joke that if we knew what we were getting into, I don't think we would have ever created the company. So sometimes the road is not known to you, sometimes you actually build the road as you go along. But the road exists. And there are 2 things that startup differentiates on, or 3 things, I might add one more there. One is your single-minded focus to build a successful business. Single-minded, extremely laser-sharp focus. And I always mention that a lady about to become a mother, you cannot get more focused than that. Pretty close one comes when you're at Churchgate Station trying to find a seat, when you get into a train in the evening, that you're very focused, absolutely laser-sharp. That's what you want to do. And execution. You cannot compete with the IBMs or the Ciscos or the AT&Ts or the Tatas or Reliances of the world without faster execution, laser-sharp focus, and a differentiation. Now, where does the differentiation come from? It can come from multiple things. As we talked about, it can come from relationship of the founders, but it can go only up to a point, beyond which, you need to look at other differentiation. It can come from size of your operations. So big companies, when they launch something, their size becomes a big wall for startups to go over. It can be a differentiation from the technology perspective, which translates into you solve their problems in a better and more economical way. So there are 3 or 4 ways by which you can differentiate yourself, and that's what startups work with. Now, when you want to scale up, one of the things we used to do, and about 12, 13 years back, when we created the website, most of the traffic we found was coming to the founders as to we were, sort of known in our circle, and people wanted to find out what we were doing today. So the traffic, anybody came to the website, went to Kiran Deshpande, Praveen Bhagwat and all that, not to the product we had created. And we actually started making that objective that the traffic must go to the product or the resource page and not to the team or the founders. So sometimes these things happen. But it's very important to know that you scale up from very simple proposition to a business. And I want to also mention one thing. One is scaling, second is creating the structure or the canvas from where the business can grow. So we've seen, for example, I've been witness to software industry in India, which used to be less than $5 million about 35 years back, is a $100 billion plus industry growing at double digit. So something happened because of which not only the companies grew, but the whole market was created. Silicon Valley is very good at it. They continue to invent new things and they create scalable business. Digital media is an interesting case in point. Internet search is networking. There are a bunch of things on which companies have been founded, build the business, not only build their own business, but created a marketplace or canvas for others to play in that market. So it's very important to understand that. So in the short time that I have, I will try to see what you need to do there. I would also want to mention one thing, that all the roads have to lead to creation of wealth. Now, you can define it in complex way, but I thought money is a very important point. You can put it to good use money once you earn it, but anything other than that, sometimes you get confused. So it's a good idea to make money. I have one slide on a slight humor towards the end of this talk, which we will share, where you don't want to make money on the wrong things. Now, we have talked about it. What are the genes of your business? What is the nature of your business? It's very important to what is the nature of business. And I've tried to put some simple things. I try to relate to, is your organization business such that you have a direct touch with the customer? Like a consulting company, like what they talked about, social media, you're directly touching the customer, versus when I sell my product, more I am touching the customer, more I am actually handicapped by the growth. Because if I'm going to create 3,500, 10,000, 20,000 customers, how many of them am I going to connect? Or I have to find mechanisms to do it, and maybe digital media, social media is a way to do it. But it's very important to understand, do you touch directly? More important, do you have to have the customer touch to create additional business, additional revenue? If you have to do that, then your model is different. If you have to go through, as Vishwas talked about, the partner or the channel ecosystem, then your scaling up is very different. And certain businesses fall into certain categories very broadly. If you have a product business, for example, I am selling toothpaste, I am selling a Wi-Fi router, I am selling a television, I am selling something like that so that people can buy that piece of equipment product. It is generally a channel business. So there are others who will sell it for you. So you have to understand the nature of that whole ecosystem of channels. So is it going to be a reseller? Do you have distribution channels? How do you do that? It gets complicated for product businesses that are being established for the first time. So for example, to give you an interesting example, all of you know about Cisco, and I was not there, but I'm sure when Cisco came out the first time in the early 90s with their TCP/IP router, nobody knew them. So how did they sell? How did they create the first 100 customers? I'm sure, the founding team, the senior executives would have actually reached out to their contacts and sold it. Right? But there comes a time when you move it from there to the channels. So businesses also have to do that. If your product requires educating the market the first time because nobody has used it before, it gets even more complex because your channels haven't understood, your customer needs education, so you need to go out in front of the customer. More you do, the less scaling that happens because you want 1,000 hands to sell your product and not a few hands, howsoever capable the hands are. So be very, very sensitized to this fact. Am I touching the customer all the time to create business? Software service business, which I have had a experience with, whether you're 2 million, 5 million, 100 million, 10 billion, you still work with large deal size and you touch the customer directly. Now you may go from a departmental person for whom you built $1 million project to global CIOs where you're moving the entire IT for them. You still deal directly. You never go through an agent or a distribution channel. But in case of a product, it becomes very different. So very, very important to understand that. There are some businesses which have a large service wraparound to the product, and often happens in the technology space. Now you have to be very, very careful. SAP is a good example where they've actually made a good, created a market where there's a product sale, but there's also a service that goes up with it. And they built an ecosystem of consulting that actually build the market. CRMs are very similar to that. In telecommunication industry, you see it all the time. So it's very important to understand, what is your business? So, are you selling to business? Are you selling to consumers? Are you selling to a business to a consumer? For example, we sell to telecom service operators who sell it to the endpoints. Now, getting full understanding so that you can then define the scale in which you want to operate is very, very important. We have seen often enough founders in the early stage are not very clear about it, so very important to understand that. What is your solution? And Vishwas talked about it. Why should somebody buy? And I think Radha mentioned or Sanjeev mentioned, they are not interested in your product story. They are not interested in how great you did or how many patents you filed. They don't give a damn about it. They are interested in, does it solve my problem? Does it solve my problem? Here is a problem I have, does it solve my problem? And it is important to build the lingua around that. Now your product or your services or combination goes. Very, very important. When you scale up, sometimes these things change. It's very important not to be wedded. Divorce is a bad word, but sometimes you have to divorce, or let me put it in a more positive way. Children come and go, they leave your house. So some products will come and they have a lifetime and they move and you have to move on too. So your solution morphs itself very differently as you go along. So if 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 100 million, and bigger companies, as the graph goes into a hockey stick, these things will change all the time. So just make sure that you understand that. Sales is a very, very important aspect of it. I put it before marketing because you start doing marketing only when your sales start getting some, it's like sales is the opening pair of batsmen, then rest of them come. So if you get your sales engine going, then your marketing engine needs to kick in. The guys who do short deals, guys who do large deals, guys who move big time, guys who work with small markets, guys who work with channels, they are all very, very different. So if you're clear in your mind how you're going to reach out to the customer, the truck that Vishwas showed, then you need to build the sales machinery. It's very, very important. And I'm running a little fast. You would spend like a session on each one of them, so I have to run fast because of the time constraint. Marketing, a very difficult one. Very, very difficult one. What is your message is very important. You may be giving a message, but somebody else is picking different things. And I was talking to a customer of my company, and the CIO said, I like you because you understand radios better than anybody else. It didn't matter what the product features were, I understand radios better. a customer in UK, he said something very interesting. Nobody understands radios. You're the least screwed up, so I like you. So, it depends on in your scheme of things, but marketing is very important, messaging is very important. For a startup, a small company going to become big, an air cover of message so that you reach out to a wider set of potential customers or market is very important. It's very, very important. And in that scheme of things, my grandmother may have said कि गंदे लड़कों के साथ मत खेला करो. But today I'm more encouraged to be on the digital media and reach out to all and everyone, because this is a pretty cost-effective media to reach out to everyone, and it actually level sets between you and the IBMs or the Tatas or the Reliances or the Ciscos of the world. Flipkart or Snapdeal or whatever business you're in, it just level sets everyone. If you got the right content and you got the right message and you're very active, you'll get your pick. The thing to be worried about, and personally I've had this situation. If you're so good, how come I don't know you? And this was a call to a CIO in Nairobi, Kenya, and I of course shot back saying that, did you know Cisco in 1991? Obviously, he had no answer, and I got around it. It's like, you get a question and कुछ तो भी करके जुगाड़ answer देके आपको marks मिल जाते हैं. So that's what it is. But very important to know that you need to reach out to a wider set. You can, I don't know how many of you have played bridge, but my view is I rather play large number of tables and lose some rather than play only few tables and win all of them. So it's very important to make sure that you play large number of deals, lose some, but your business grows. Creating a machinery that works on that is very important in scale up. If your messaging is right, your branding will happen. Branding is a sum total of everything. So I'm not a branding expert, but brand is something is in the mind of your customer. So what they perceive about you. It starts with the founder, then it gets into the product and services, it gets into the support, and I'll give you examples of it. We get very good, and I'm giving my company, but that's what I'm most familiar with right now. We have engineers who work 24/7 by 365 to answer customer calls. So first time we did it, we had customers not in the entire globe, but we knew that we were going to reach out to them. So we wanted to get a practice where 3-shift operation, 7 days with engineers staffing it was there. And customers give you compliments on that your person came online and solved my problem. At my home, we have both systems, and me and my wife are very good at screwing any electronics. So you give us anything and we mess it up. So we have a Bose system, it was not working. So I called Bose and she came online and I said, this is what it is. So she said, you seem to know things reasonably well. With my guidance, you will be able to fix this. I don't need to send an engineer. And she was with me throughout about 45 minutes, and I went behind, pulled it out, सब कुछ किया मैंने गलत लगाया. Finally my thing started working, and I asked her, you seem to be very knowledgeable. So she said, I'm an electronics engineer. I was trained by Bose for 6 months. So that's the feeling you get with a good customer support. And the irritation with a call center, all of us know. So make sure that your early customer touch is absolutely critical. Your product may not work, but your support is good, you'll survive and grow. It's very, very important. Team, I would just say one thing here. Hire people smarter than you. It's a cliche, it's written everywhere. It's very difficult to do. Most of the time, the fact that you're a founder, that means you've taken that extra step, extra risk. So you're confident about yourself, you're confident about everything, and you have to thank God if you have a founding team to begin with. But if you're a single founder, now the next step, sometimes founders preside over mediocrities, and that's it. That tree is not going to grow. The second thing is, when you want to scale up, the sales engine in the company needs to be much smarter. The founders typically are good at many things, but you may not be your company's best salesperson. So you need to get people who will do the right branding and right sales for you. And sometimes you have to part away with substantial equity because these are professionals of substantive nature. So you have to build the company, make sure that you have people who are smarter. If not smarter than you, at least as smart as you are. Except that they have not been founders, but respect them and bring them on board. Very important. And focus. I would just say one thing, sometimes you have to let go of things. One point which I think Vishwas alluded to, not every solution will give you revenue. And I can give you one example from my company where we, in the beginning, spotted a product which we built. We knew that it will not even give us 1% of the revenue, but it will enable the rest of it into the radio planning. You know, in the Wi-Fi world where I'm familiar with, people do, you know, you come to this convention center and I say, I'll give you the best Wi-Fi. Now you'll ask me, how many devices should I buy? And where should I put them? So there's an army will come, you know, take all the measurement, they'll bother you for about 2-3 days, they'll give you a spreadsheet and stuff like that. Doesn't work. You know, and I asked a question, if you become a big company, how many armies we will need to go all around the world to do site service? So we built a product, and we have the product right now. It has not delivered any revenue to us, less than 1%, but it has enabled amazing amount of sales. Whether you are in Norway, you are in Mumbai, you are in Bangalore, you are in Nairobi, you are in Nigeria, send me the floor plan. I'll tell you how many devices you need and I'll send you a quote and my partner will send you. So sometimes identifying those little tools which will help your engine is very important. So make sure that that happens. I thought I'll leave some time for the questions. So, any questions? Sorry for being rushing through a whole lot of like one semester, but Vishwas also did.
Questions? We will, after this 2-3 sessions which are planned, we will have maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes everybody on the podium and we can have questions. But if you have any quick questions, we can just have it here right now.
Yeah. So one of the important factor which you need to also cognizant with in terms of good growth is that when you scale up, actually there are chances that it will also like too much of growth at a very little span of time will also kill you, because we are seeing the examples of not many startups are getting probably killed or they are going down because they are not actually following the right path. So in terms of that, what is your advice?
So let me restate the question here because he may not have been heard throughout. The question is, if you have too much of growth, a lot of startups are getting killed. So what's my view on that? Let me put two things here. If you have a kid and whose height is increasing, growing faster, you will not say, oh, that's too bad. You have to let the child grow. So business has to grow. If it's growing fast, you don't stop it. In fact, that's a crime to stop that business. If a startup is getting killed because of growth, then something is wrong in the business model. So you got to go and fix the business model, as Vishwas talked about. Something is wrong. Either your economics is not right or something is wrong in the business model. So I would go and attack the business model rather than the growth.
How do you get into this wider reach? Like you told this example of Nairobi, wherein people did not know the Cisco and all. In one of the cases, IBM asked me, how come we are in the same domain of security systems and all? I do not know you in Pune.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of response I also get. So how do you get into this wider reach? By following all the social media, digital? Is there any other way?
There is no one way to do it. There is no one way to do it. There is always a bootstrap for first time. So when you build a wider canvas, you go to, you try and create market segments or customer segments. Like Vishwas talked about, a customer segment, in my opinion, is a set of customers with similar or related requirements. Right? So geography is always play. So geography is a very simple way to expand the market. So let's say you're here in India, you do in India or you're in the US or whatever. You go to your first home market, then you go to related markets, and then you find a partner in a market where you were not familiar with. So you try and get there. You know, internet is a good way to do it. Contact, references, something happens because of which you get there. So there is someone out there who's representing. But one thing I would share with you: if you are physically not present in the market, get a trusted partner there. Otherwise, your brand could be in for trouble. Do you have time, or do we have time for one question?
We have, if there are a couple of more, we can take it.
So basically, most of the time when we are thinking about scale, so from 0 to 1 is the most difficult phase, right? You know, when you have just started up and you are trying to get the first customer, you are going to build a sales team. But there are models like if you take the, you know, the social media, all of the media like WhatsApp, Facebook, they started free. So they were not generating revenue from their, you know, the first customer, like the users of the platform. So my question really is, you know, in those cases, you know, how do we get started, or, you know, how do we create that first customer showing you value and still having no money from it?
So, simple piece of work, you know, I would not go and read Facebook's model. It doesn't give me anything other than a good management literature or WhatsApp. But those are extreme outlying ideas. They're very, very successful. It applies to me, I'll find out. So I will go to the very basics. As Vishwas said, what is my customer segment, what their problem is. I probably knew that, that's how I built a product or a solution. So I'll try and reach to that market segment first. I build that and build from there onwards. Now if it scales up, phenomenally, perfect. But it has to scale up from there. I would not, you know, put too much of time reading, you know, Google and Facebook and all. Read it for your knowledge and understanding. It ain't going to help you. If it helps you, you are a celebrity. We will all welcome you. Right? How many people become Tendulkar or Dravid? There are a lot of cricketers who are playing and they play very good cricket throughout the country. So, you know, be a good player. You know, you may reach the extreme height. Perfect. You will find it yourself. So not many have reached there. So many of us, unfortunately, may not get there. That's the reality. So, but once you get there, you will figure it out yourself.
That's, I think, right. I think my question is basically, if you are a service where you might want to give it as a premium, like at least few customers are free. So what would be a strategy to kind of scale up to a level when you start generating business?
Let me try and answer it here. This may not be the best answer. I don't think they gave you a service free. They created a potential customer base from where they would offer something for which they will monetize later. You are seeing that as a free service. This was not a free service. This was creating a market to which something else was sold later. In fact, one of the Thai, members, they are creating a huge customer base of people. You get on your Android phone SMSs of all your expenditure. So somebody puts it together in a nice chart and everything. Now, you can download the app and do it freely. But so these not giving a service free, but they're creating an ecosystem where something else will be launched. That's how I see it. Vishal, any comment on that? Yeah? Last question?
Last question. Yeah. The scalability is a function of certainly capital. If you have capital, you will go for scalability. Now, beyond capital, there are two factors. One is is it just the manpower? I'm talking about more in terms of retail and consumer business. Is it manpower or pricing strategy? Or is there any third derivative which helps us grow and scale?
See, I have not been in consumer business, so I'll give you a common sense answer, but we have a charter member here who's run the consumer business, he'll give it. It's a combination of everything. It's pricing, it's positioning, it's, everything else. Sorry.
So I'm kind of coming in late on this, but there's one aspect I do want to mention is in the process of scaling up, knowing where to play and when to play is very important. And not getting attached to what you do today is extremely, extremely important. And I'll give you a personal experience. So we are in the business of manufacturing ready-to-eat food. Many of you may have gone to a supermarket store and seen an MTR dal makhani or a palak paneer. Consider that as the nearest example of something that comes very close to what we manufacture. So in 1998, when we began the business, we did follow a little bit of advice of what Kiran just said. He said, when you're playing game of bridge, play it in many tables. Don't play just one. So we did follow that. We were in the United States, we were in Canada, and then we said one time, let's launch India. India seemed to suggest market was ready. Women were having less time. This was a product of great convenience, and we launched, and we met with instant success. So over the first 4 years, Tasty Bite, which is the brand that we sell, occupied a market share of 65%, way ahead of brands that came from ITC and from MTR and from Haldiram and everybody else. But we realized that our research had been completely wrong, as in it was completely peripheral. It was peripheral to thinking that convenience is the only reason that people buy. We are finding that people also buy for many reasons. That I would say there are 3 reasons people buy products in India. There is price, price and price. We had not understood that. And so when something that we were selling at 55 rupees a pack was being sold by our competition at 15 rupees, it didn't matter what we were selling and how good it was, but people just went for that. We realized that trade was important. Trade got margins higher than what we were offering. Beauty just got knocked off from that from that channel completely, and therefore we weren't going to be able to compete. And then we decided that maybe this is not our market. Because this market is kind of unregulated. ITC has deep pockets. They can build a brand over 25 years. This is our only business. And at 65% market share, we decided to exit this market, concentrate somewhere else where entry barriers are far tougher. And so we went away from here, and I think it was one of the best decisions to do. I think we scaled up hugely across North America. We also scaled up across many other countries across the globe. The brand is today the largest Indian food brand across North America. We were able to do because we exited here. So I just want to give that as an insight, that all the time getting attached to what you do and say, I'm here, where do I scale from here? You may have to dig in deep and say, do you want to scale right here, or do you want to scale somewhere else? So that's also important.
I will give you an interesting example that we are going through right now in my company. I'll give you the ecosystem of electronics here. When we sell enterprise Wi-Fi with security, take a Qualcomm chipset or Broadcom chipset. You can buy it from, depending on what it is, $20 to about $40, depending on what you're talking. Taiwanese manufacturers, depending upon what you want, will give you a platform from $55 to about $120, $130, and outdoor for about $300, $200 to $300. When it comes to the market, when we put our value addition in terms of actual functionality and what it does, it will go from $500 all the way to $1,300. So you can see the value addition that happens. What we are doing is, we are knocking that whole difference out. Saying that if it comes from, say, Qualcomm for $25, it comes from Taiwan for, say, $100, we will do a simple license, let it be under $250. And we will just prime the market with a lot of devices. So we are actually getting out of the arbitrage of hardware which we use to leverage. And the reason for that is we want to prime the whole market. One good example of that, some of you might remember, DEC, Digital Equipment, there's a company which used to sell engineering workstation. That's when they began. And they were next to IBM, and some of you may not remember. Sometimes I ask computer science students, they don't even remember the name. It's really good to read history sometimes. The workstation used to be $250,000 to $500,000 and beyond. And those of us who have been around will remember VAX as a machine. Came Sun, Pizza Box computer, $25,000. DEC was gone, Chapter 11. Ken Olsen, who had built the company, was a veteran of the global industry. The company was totally gone. So sometimes, you have to do something very different. If DEC themselves had done what Sun did, Sun may not even have survived that. So, but these are very individual decisions. So if Ravi had failed in North America, we wouldn't even hear his story what he did in India, right? So if you fail, nobody cares about it, but if you succeed, it becomes an example. At that particular point, at that particular situation, it's your call. That is what I'm saying. So you can read a lot of literature, but founders, as a CEO, it's your call to figure out what you do. And if you're good, successful, people will follow you. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
It's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great.